Stop the cap.
My voice is really weak right now. So just bear with me. Um, I see videos from Democrats talking about um, how terrible Donald Trump is going to be as a president and how the working class is going to be negatively affected. And I'm like, first off, talking about that now isn't going to fix anything. And secondly, what Democrats should have been talking about is talking about the damn economy and populist positions that would have improved the quality of life for the average person. Instead, the Democrats went down the route of pushing LGBTQ, pushing feminism, and pushing overall agendas that were anti-family. Things like abortion. And that's what they were pushing. A lot of symbolism. And I hate the fact that black people got caught up in that. Thank you, black women, for getting us caught up in that and making, turning, black empowerment and, anti-discrimination movements into being aligned with the goofiness of transgenderism. Thank you. We appreciate you for that. I'm being sarcastic. But that was all black women, and I stand on that. So now we have to fight to separate the seriousness of, black empowerment and the discrimination that black people have long faced in this country: redlining, blockbusting, Jim Crow, eminent domain, urban renewal, convict leasing, debt peonage, COINTELPRO, job discrimination, CIA, Iran, Contras, so on and so forth that I've mentioned a million times before. Okay, we got to bring the conversation back to that. That's one fight. But as it pertains to the Republicans, I mean, Donald Trump is not even in yet, and everybody's like, oh, he's going to ruin everything. He's going to ruin the economy and blah, blah, blah. And this is what Democrats are saying. And I'm like, your time to talk is over. Okay, you had your time to talk about the economy. You didn't do it. And I'm saying what people miss is, because everybody, again, class consciousness, you see this with Luigi Mangione and how he popped Brian Thompson, and really across the board, across the political spectrum, nobody has any empathy for Brian Thompson. Okay, that is the first inclination of class consciousness, and it has the billionaire class nervous. It has the oligarchs nervous, the ruling class nervous. The people who buy our politicians, buy our politics because nobody has the balls to get money out of politics. Okay? It makes those people that are basically, I mean, it's just corruption. I mean, if any other country around the world, if you're throwing money at politicians, it is corruption. America is the only country, or one of the only countries, that allow for legalized corruption. And we got the audacity to sit around and talk about Nigeria or any other country, like what Mike Wallace did when he sat down with freaking Farrakhan. Okay, bottom line, and I've said this to black people before, you're just going to have to hunker down for the next 4 years. And the reason I say that is because, look, at the end of the day, we're a minority in this country, right? We all have to vote in unison in order to get shit done, which currently we're not doing. Black men and black women, there's a lot of divide going on. Okay. Yes, most black men voted for Kamala Harris, but, we still got a lot of shit like feminism floating around in the black community. We're the most unwed. We have the most kids out of wedlock. Okay, the shit is just broken. And it doesn't matter who we vote for. At the end of the day, the family structure in the black community is fucked. Okay? And, the white community they have their growing issues because, as I've said a million times before, black people are the canaries in the coal mine, and whatever affects us is, a crystal ball prediction away from what's going to happen in the white community. And it's happening in the white community with kids out of wedlock and everything else. Okay, I think, what is it, like 40% of white children are born out of wedlock? It's pretty sure it's 40%. They have about the same number of people who are cohabitating, but that still counts as out of wedlock. Um, Bottom line, shit ain't gonna change until white people get hurt. And I don't mean that in a physical way. I mean that in a real economic way. In other words, Trump is going to have to go up there and basically not do anything that's going to benefit them. And they're going to have to get pissed off, and they're going to have to then want change, and they don't care, what anybody's favorite color is. White people are not there yet. I'm telling you that right now. White people are not there yet. They're still running around with their MAGA hats. They're still thinking, they wanted to get the LGBT conversation, shut that down. Nobody cares. It's not conducive to family. It's not conducive to life. It's an extreme minority of America. Why is that being pushed in front of everybody's face? Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. Okay? The feminism, most people recognize that shit as delulu because even women want masculine men. Yeah, they may want more power in the relationship. They want veto power. They want to, have their own money so that if the man leaves them, they're not destitute and whatnot. But at the end of the day, most women want a masculine man. They still want the fruits of patriarchy. So feminism has failed. It does not work. Okay. And most people recognize that shit. They don't put respect on feminism. They're like, these women are freaking out of their minds. And the way that these women crashed out in their automobiles, screaming at the top of their lungs because Kamala Harris didn't win, fucking proves that. Okay. But what has to happen now is that the Republicans, Donald Trump, they just have to go in there, and in 4 years from now, shit is worse for the average white person than it's ever been. Okay. And then at that point, it's either you're going to have a revolution in this country, or you're going to have an absolute political realignment, not a small political realignment, an absolute political realignment where people are out there with the pitchforks in the street making serious demands, French Revolution type shit. And all we can do at this point is just simply be patient. Because like I said before, all these MAGA people, they have everybody that they want in there right now. So there's nobody to blame. Okay, this is why sometimes you just have to give people room, give them the floor. It's like a little kid that like cries because, I don't know, they want to bake a cake. And they don't know how to bake a cake, but they're bitching and crying. Okay, you want to bake the cake? Go ahead and bake the cake. Or like when little kids run away, I'm running away, I'm leaving, and they grab a bag of Oreos and they walk out the front doors. Black parents, what do? We let them. We like, you want to leave? Oh, let me help you pack your bags. Because we already know what time it is. Y'all saw that recent video of them two, the little boy and the little girl. The little boy, he lost his damn mind. You know what I mean? They were trying to get back in the house. I don't know how long they were walking outside for, but they were trying to let us in. Yeah. See, that's what needs to happen to the MAGA people, the Republicans. Okay, these white folks that really believe in the religion of, republicanism. The black folks and the left and the people that are claiming themselves to be independent, they're just fed up with the Democrats and their bullshit, and they're not really doing anything. And that was a message to Democrats. That doesn't mean that they were drinking the Kool-Aid of MAGA. But most of these white people out here that you will come across, they drink the Kool-Aid of MAGA. Okay, and they, they really believe, we're bringing the Holy Spirit back to the White House, and Donald Trump, he's our savior, and he's going to do this and he's going to do that. Okay, they're already struggling. Okay, rural America, middle America is struggling. Okay, and so they believe that Donald Trump's gonna pee from the mountaintop, and they get to open their mouths and get a drip, to quench their thirst. They think that that's what's going to happen, and it's not going to happen. In my opinion, it's not going to happen, and they're not going to have anybody to blame. The cognitive dissonance that they are about to go through will be very satisfying to watch, but they need to go through this teething period. They need to go through it, plain and simple. I don't know why everybody continues to bitch and cry and moan and try to say, "Oh, we told you so." No, you didn't tell them so. You didn't tell them so. You were too busy over there talking about LGBTQ as opposed and feminism as opposed to talking about the goddamn economy. Now you want to pretend like all this time you were talking about how Trump's going to wreck the economy because he's going to go up there and help all his rich buddies. I'm like, that's not the message that you were saying before. Your loudest message was about transgender women, LGBTQ, and freaking feminism. That was your loudest message. Your loudest message was identity politics, because you weren't trying to change or improve the material conditions of the average person. So now, unfortunately, we got to waste 4 years and go through this teething period for white, conservatives and Republicans to get pissed off. They need to get pissed off. And I'm loving it because, truth be told, those are the wrong people to piss off. Okay, the people with the guns. Those are the wrong people to piss off. And you saw a taste of that when it came to, no, not January 6th. January 6th were the idiots. No. You saw a taste of this when you saw all those Second Amendment people and veterans storm the Capitol in Virginia when they tried to ban assault weapons. Them folks, those are the folks that you got to worry about. Okay, and there's a lot of non-active duty white guys in that population. Okay, you start talking about them not being able to, afford a family, buy a home, all that shit. Again, that's the wrong crowd to piss off. That's the wrong group to piss off. And in my opinion, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna piss those groups off. I don't know why they don't see it for what it is, but it's coming. Elon Musk up there talking about, we need more white babies and shit like that. This is the same person that is anti-union. How you gonna have more white babies and you're anti-white men being gainfully employed? You don't want to pay them enough to support a family, but you want to talk about, more white babies. You want to talk about population collapse. But when it comes to with one of the richest men in the world, he could pay all his employees, 6 figures a piece, and it not even make a dent in his overall wealth. But he's not going to do it. So all of this is going to be one hell of an education for white people. It's going to be one hell of a class education for white people. Again, the default culture for Europeans is feudalism. And right now, we live in what is considered techno-feudalism because, everything's online. Hell, even if you want to, basically, it's not just about them owning the lands. They own on two fronts. They own the online space and they own the actual physical land with companies like, BlackRock, what is it, Safe Street and Vanguard. Is it Safe Street? I think it's Safe Street. Anyway, right? They own the physical land, right? Trying to turn everybody into renters. And then when you go online and you try to have a little side hustle and sell shit on Amazon or sell shit on, what's the other location? Sell shit on Amazon, sell shit on what? Facebook, right? They can shut that down. All of a sudden you get a little notice talking about, you have violated the terms of whatever. And that's even worse because again, as the courts, have stated, it's a private business. They can do whatever the fuck they want. You're dealing with the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. You're dealing with the Tyrell, corporation from Blade Runner. Okay, that's what you're dealing with. And don't get it twisted. Don't be surprised, especially after the Luigi Mangione thing. Don't be surprised if you start seeing these corporations start having little PMCs with them. Private military corporations like Blackwater. So you'll have CEOs walking around, with armed security. I'm talking full armed security. I'm talking about, full, 16-inch rifles. Or 14.5 rifles, because they'll probably be able to use those SBRs and all that shit. Don't be surprised. Okay, we are about to enter, freaking Cyberpunk 2077, type of world. That's what it's going to be. You should look at the corporations and how they run things in that game. It's all about the corporations. Everybody else is a peasant. It's about to look like Judge Dredd in this bitch. And so all we got to do is sit there and just wait. Just wait for the average white person to get fucked up, economically speaking, and don't be anywhere in the blast radius. Because if you're in the blast radius, if you're even just standing there while they're getting fucked up from their own Republicans, they're going to try to find some way to point to you. It was you. How the fuck it was me? I'm just standing here. No, it was you. You did this. It's like, no, I didn't. But see, if you're not in the room, you don't got to worry about that. That's why I love, like, when we talk about, the swirlers and the divestment and everything, and they go over the fence and they ain't got nothing to do with no black man. That has nothing, not that I want to see black women get fucked up, but I'm saying there's certain situations where I'm like, oh, I'm so glad you experienced that and we were nowhere in the room. I'm so glad you went through whatever you just went through and we were nowhere to be seen. That way we can't be blamed. That way you get, your brain has to process that, like, this is something that can happen. It has nothing to do with whether a man is a black man or not. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So that's just how I feel about it. So I'm like, yeah, if white people get hit and they get dinged by a fucked up economy, does that mean that black people are going to get dinged and messed up? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I can assure you that nothing is going to change in this country unless white people want it to change. They got to have the same feeling that you do. They got to be just as angry as you are. There's certain concepts that they have to shed in order for things to change. And unfortunately, they got to get really financial. They got to be out here losing their ass in order for them to react the way that we would need them to react. And I have a sneaky suspicion that the Republicans are going to be dumb enough, to think that they're going to repackage and resell trickle-down economics for the next 4 years with all that's going on. And then, throw in the want to go to war with Ukraine. Good luck getting these millennials to go off and fight your wars when they haven't even been able to begin to even taste adulthood. They don't have shit to fight for, especially thanks to the left with pushing, feminism and anti-family and everything that makes them as white men feel alienated from society. Good luck trying to get them to fight your wars. They ain't gonna be fighting shit. That's that. And then if you try to make them, that's gonna get even nastier because Gen Z has the highest proportion of crash outs. Them motherfuckers will crash out. They'll dead the whole block. They don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? As we can see them running up in schools. You got female shooters now. You know what I mean? That's a whole generation of crash outs. So anybody thinking, you know, oh, we're going to make them, we're going to do this, we're going, please. It's like what fucking Paul Mooney said about, black youngsters today. He was like, shit, you go tell our grandkids to get to the back of the bus. There won't be a bus. There won't be a bus. It's a different generation. So, and again, this country can't even control the damn street takeovers. The police can handle crime here and there. They can handle a bank robbery. They can handle, freaking, some, carjacker or some shit like that. Somebody knocks over a convenience store. They cannot handle a bunch of middle-aged cops. Cannot handle, I can run faster than you and I don't have a stomach. Teenagers, or even young adults running around, and on top of that, they have firepower too. Bitch, please. It's going to look like the fucking Bolshevik revolution in this bitch in a minute. Again, y'all fuck around if you want. I keep making my nigga predictions. I'm like, fuck around what you want. The fucking the heartbeat of this country is on the internet. It's not on mainstream media. Mainstream media is funded by the billionaires, and they think that they're just going to dictate your feelings to you, like what they're trying to do with the Luigi Mangione shit. This is just wrong. It's wrong. Why are you all celebrating this? Wagging their finger like they're, like scolding a bunch of school children. It's not right. Law and order. I mean, they've completely lost the narrative. Completely lost the narrative. The only person speaking truth right now on the whole situation is Bill Burr. You know what I'm saying? Like he's the only person that is over the age of 50 who seems to really fucking get it. Like get it in its inner workings and mechanics and everything else. You get some other older people, they kind of get it like superficially. No, Bill Burr gets it all the way down to the core. But these other people, the fucking, from the mountaintop people, man, please, man. These boomers, they don't get shit. They don't get shit. So, I mean, hell, I'm black and my own parents don't even get it. And they're obviously black. So again, it's a huge age gap. It's a huge age gap. And I don't know why when people are like, oh, we need young men, military aged men. They love saying military aged men. I'm like, yeah, that's the population you don't want to piss off. That's the population you don't want to piss off. And, I'd say for the last decade, that's all that's been going on is that population being pissed off. And it is largely the fault of Democrats. 100%. 100%. But Republicans, again, I already know Republicans, they already don't want to come up off the money. Meaning they think that if they, if we stop them talking about how evil, white men have been historically and are collectively, then young white men will feel better about themselves. And that's all we have to do. No, you need to come up off that money. That's what you need to do. You need to come up off that money and have these men gainfully employed. That's what you need to do. But see, I already know that they don't want to do that. Again, going back to my man in the airport with the regional airlines, they don't want to pay anybody. They don't want to pay the pilots. They don't want to pay the flight attendants. They don't want to pay the mechanics. They don't want to pay the ground crew. They don't want to pay anybody. You see? The whole thing with the immigrants and whatnot. Again, that's just to stop the or stave off, the declining birth rates. They don't want to have to pay Americans the type of wages Americans would need to live a middle class lifestyle. They don't want to do that. The housing market, fucked up. What do you need to do? You need to build more houses. What is building more houses going to do? It's going to drive the housing prices down, eliminating the equity that boomers have built into or put into their house, or excuse me, that have accrued in their house, which is just dumb. The whole infinite growth on houses. Oh, we bought a house in 1960 for, $7,000, and now that house is worth $500, $600, $700,000. And then, again, the banks get involved. Then you got to take out a 30-year mortgage, a 50-year mortgage, a 100-year mortgage. What? You'll never own anything. Okay? The whole concept of infinite growth of property values, point blank period. Just talking about white people, it is freaking white reproductively self-destructive because their own kids can't afford to purchase a home. And again, white people are the main ones that love to run around and talk about stability and personal responsibility, and you don't need to have a kid if you can't afford it. And then they do everything in their power with this infinite growth model to make everything unaffordable for subsequent generations. So while the oldest generation can get on their feet in their 20s, the youngest generation can't get on their feet and end up living with their parents into their 30s. And then white people run around, why aren't we having more white babies? We need more white babies. The white, like I said, I have had to reevaluate white supremacy because, white people as a collective, like, they're cannibalistic. Okay, they're not going to make it just based off of the model of their economics. White people are not going to make it. They're the main group of people who are out of sync with nature. And unfortunately, many other people have adopted that model around the world, the Chinese being one of them. But before that, everybody else was in sync with nature and living off the land. You know what I mean? They go talk to the Native Americans. You can't own the land. What are you talking about? You can't own the rivers. You can't own this. It belongs to everybody, right? Everybody in the world was operating on more of a socialist, sort of collective way of living. And then here comes the European. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. This parasitic, view of things. And they've parasitized themselves to the point that they have crashing and dwindling birth rates. Like I said before, the future is going to be African. Africa is the only country right now that has, net positive birth rates. Everywhere else is dwindling. I think some of the Muslim countries are flat. But, the way white society is going, they're projected to disappear, in the near future. And you see this with the Germans. They're projected to disappear unless they go to a new economic model, which, I have my strong doubts that they won't, unless they go to something like a resource-based economy, which will essentially undermine and eliminate the billionaire and trillionaire class. They're not going to survive. Plain and simple. The white oligarchs, there'll be like 10 of them. and then the average white person, they really won't exist as families. They won't. Look at the white birth rates. Just all you got to do is just look at the white birth rates. Okay? The only country that I've seen that has probably had a positive impact on birth rates, I think there's two: Poland and Bulgaria. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure those two. But other than that, the rest of them, no. because the oligarchs don't care about white birth rates. They care about, their bottom line. They care about maintaining cheap labor so that they can extract all the wealth to the top. And your average white person, they're too busy focused on cultural shit, Muslims, the Africans coming across the border. That's what the problem is. No, that's not the problem. The problem are immigrants coming across the border. The problem is your oligarchs who look like you don't want to pay you. You keep addressing the problem from the wrong end. You keep thinking like, oh, if we get rid of the immigrants, what, suddenly they're going to want to pay you? What, they let the immigrants come in. They allowed that whole process because they don't want to pay you. Okay? And even if you try to force them to pay you, they'll just come up with some other way to try to, to make that not happen. Like I said, they just need to take a barge and put a factory on a barge that floats on the ocean and then just move it around to the poorest countries around the world so that they can get their goods manufactured for the cheapest price to get the highest return on investment and then bring those goods back into the country, which, is short-sighted because if nobody has a job and they're all broke, how the fuck are they going to buy your goods and services? I don't know what the end game is unless they want to, basically become, like that white guy said, a god king. You have Donald Trump, and then you have, all the other gods of Mount Olympus, and they're just up there. But, and then in the meantime, again, prolonged exposure to poverty, prolonged exposure to dysfunction, you are going to see the most dysfunctional white people you have ever seen in the next 50 years. Because all these white people that you're going to see are going to grow up, again, if this isn't corrected, they're going to grow up just like the black kids grow up. Single mother homes, broken homes, freaking abusive, drunkard dads, incest, and some of that is already still going on. I'm aware of that. But that's what you're going to see. You're going to see all type of manner of dysfunction. Okay? You're not just going to have the unemployed, you're going to have the unemployable from a mindset perspective. I don't care how much white Jesus you want to sprinkle on it. In other words, you're going to raise a generation of white people that don't know stability. So black people I think black people got a leg up on white people in this regard, because black people actually tackle the realness of the root of this problem, which is directly tied to economics. White people are going to wax and wane and go through their Dave Ramsey phase and their Ben Shapiro phase where they want to say, no, it's the real reason is because we took church out of the schools. It's because they don't know God. They don't know Jesus. They don't know the Bible. Christ is king. That's what the real problem is, a lack of religiosity. They'll be doing everything but talking about fathers being gainfully employed. They're gonna go through their Bible thumping phase. They're gonna go through their, no, see, the real problem is because young white teenagers are listening to this black jungle bunny music. These white kids, they're out here, listening to drill music. That's what the problem is. That's why you see all these white thugs. Not because the white kids are going to identify with downtrodden black kids because they're downtrodden themselves, and black street culture operates on, you don't got to come from shit. You don't have to have a pedigree. You just got to be, you and be the realest motherfucker out there, and keep your word. Your word is your bond, and you got to be on some ride or die shit. And that's a lot more doable than trying to engage in corporate America that wants to play games with employment. Oh, you have to have a degree, and we're only going to give you $40,000, which you can't do shit with, and then we're going to make you change jobs every 2 years, and there's really no positive male identity in that. Oh, there's a whole bunch of positive male identities in street culture. People may not agree with it, but it's there. It's there. Why do you think you see so many thugged out white boys when you get into these poor areas? Why do you think you see that shit? They running around talking just like black people. Because it's a class thing. It's a downtrodden thing. It's a broken environment thing. And they bond over that shit. The idea that the white elites think that people are going to follow their rules, regulations, and standards while they don't offer the masses anything. Man, these motherfuckers are in for a rude awakening. They're going to be like that old white man in RoboCop. Behave yourselves. That's going to be them. Like they're literally going to try it. Behave yourselves. I seen videos on YouTube where you get these type of comments. They're over there. Oh, these animals. There ain't a black person in the video. It's either all Hispanics or all white people. And they up there talk about, using those, racist coded words for black people. I'm like, there's no black people in this video. But when they see chaos, they think, oh, it's negrodom. Like, we're not even in the room. This ain't got nothing to do with us. Like when the white people tore up the mall, during COVID, in Scottsdale, Arizona. Go look at the black population in Scottsdale, Arizona. We don't even exist there. But yet they went over there and they were talking like the black kids. It was Black Lives Matter that did this. Ain't a black person to even be seen. But yeah, like I said, see, what's so funny is, truth be told, this is gonna be the first time where white people get their nigga wake up call. Like, white people are gonna get their nigga wake up call. Like, yeah, you's a nigga and you being treated like one, because it's always been about class before it's been about race. But nobody can tell you fell for the okie doke. You drank the Kool-Aid. Black people been trying to tell you that shit. You ain't want to hear that shit. Stokely Carmichael tried to tell you that shit. You ain't want to hear that shit. Martin Luther King tried to tell you that shit. You ain't want to hear that shit. Malcolm X tried to tell you that shit. You ain't want to hear that shit. Fred Hampton tried to tell you that shit. You ain't want to hear that shit. Now you over here, hoping and wishing that, oh, please, God, King, Donald Trump, please just piss in our direction. I love it. I fucking love it. I can't wait till he gets in there and he starts doing things that are anti-white empowerment for the white working class. I can't wait to it. I mean, you even got the 2A people, they're freaking out right now. Trying to figure out, they're like, okay, yeah, we were waiting for you to get in, God King, so that you can pass pro 2A Second Amendment bills. You know what I mean? And I'm saying that's the easiest shit to do. That's the easy shit. Actually producing and creating gainful employment for young men, that's the hardest shit. But I bet you they won't even do the easy shit, because even though it's easy, it still empowers the people, and they don't really want to do that. You really think after Luigi Mangione got popped, you really think that they want to give you the Hearing Protection Act and national reciprocity and the, taking SBRs off of the NFA list and taking silencers off of the NFA? You really think they want to do that? Again, the billionaires and the multi-millionaires are the ones that pay for the politicians. And Luigi Mangione popped Brian Thompson, right? In New York, right? Do you think that they want people walking in New York from Pennsylvania with their CCW because I got national reciprocity, right? Do you really think that that New York, where many of the billionaires reside, do you think that they want to allow that to happen? Fuck no. And so, regardless of what the Republicans want, you know what I'm saying, those billionaires that live typically in blue states, they're going to be like, oh, hell no. Michael Bloomberg don't want to see, a guy from Texas walking around in New York with his CCW. Okay, that's gonna make them real nervous. Like I told you, they're gonna have to update detail. They're gonna have to get security. Black security companies right now should be making a guap. They should be soliciting, sending their emails and shit to these companies like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yes. This is Blactical Incorporated. We're here to protect you. Oh yeah, how much is it gonna cost? It's gonna be a guap. It's gonna be a whole guap. You know? They probably not gonna get black details. They probably gonna go and get white details, but still, nonetheless. Again, the rich can always pay half the poor to kill the other half. They can always try to hire all those, white ex-soldiers that have been fighting America's wars for the past 20 years. They can always try to pay them to protect them. They just got to hope that they don't turn on them and do like freaking who was it? Who was the person that killed or assassinated Gandhi? Even I think his daughter. I think it was like one of his bodyguards or some shit like that. I forget who it was, but shit like that happens. I think it was like, was it a Sikh that killed Gandhi's daughter? I forget. But yeah. So it should be interesting. I just wish the liberal people would stop wailing and just let it happen. You know what I mean? It's like, shh, just let it happen. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. Shh. That's what I wish. But, they ain't going to do that. But anyway, that's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hello?
Where you at?
Where we at? Oh, you want to know where I'm at? We